Ladies and gentlemen, hold your breath, clutch your pearls, and maybe mute your grandma's iPad, because what just leaked is not for the faint of heart. In a move that has sent shockwaves through hip-hop fandom, relationship blogs, and even group chats that haven't been active since 2018, Remy Ma has done the unthinkable. We're talking about a newly surfaced, jaw-dropping interview where Remy, calm as ever, unbothered, and sipping what appears to be green tea, looked straight into the camera and said, "I stayed loyal. But let's be real, the man was never built to satisfy me." Excuse me? Did Remy Ma just publicly humiliate Papoose? Did the woman once held as the queen of ride or die just say what we think she said? The internet is in flames. Twitter's down. Threads is shaking. Fans are spiraling. Because this ain't just pillow talk. This is a career-shattering confession that comes with full-body cringe and second-hand heartbreak. We're not talking vague shade or cryptic lyrics. This was direct, personal, and brutally specific. So now the streets are asking, was the black love fairy tale a lie from day one? Did Papoose know? And most importantly, why now? Buckle up, because this isn't just gossip, it's public destruction. And baby, Remy brought the wrecking ball herself. It started like any regular interview. A comfy set, soft lighting, and Remy Ma sitting across from a host with a script and a smile, until it took a nosedive into absolute chaos. Somewhere between a question about personal growth and another about the music industry, Remy Ma paused, looked dead into the lens, and unleashed a line so savage, so raw, it shattered whatever was left of her carefully curated marriage image. You want to know the truth? I was loyal, yeah. But let's not act like being loyal meant I was happy. There's a difference between loving someone and being fulfilled. And honestly, I was never fulfilled. Not emotionally, not physically. The man just didn't measure up. The studio went silent. You could hear producers stop breathing. Somewhere in the back, someone's clipboard hit the floor. That line, "He didn't measure up," felt like a slap, a jab, and an uppercut rolled into one. And the moment it hit the internet, the backlash was instant. This wasn't just a messy breakup confession. This was public emasculation, and fans could barely believe it. For years, Remy and Papoose were hailed as the blueprint for loyalty in hip-hop. While other couples broke up, cheated, unfollowed each other on social media, and then pretended to be hacked, Remy and Pap stood firm. Through Remy's prison bid, through career comebacks, through industry drama, they were solid. Untouchable. That couple. Or so we thought. Because now, that fairy tale is being ripped apart, and the pages are soaked in shade. The interview, allegedly recorded for an unreleased docuseries, leaked via a burner account late last night. At first, people thought it was AI-generated. There's no way Remy Ma would go on camera and say that, one user tweeted. But once verified sources confirmed the footage's authenticity, the internet exploded. Within an hour, #RemySaidTooMuch was trending #1 nationwide. Think pieces started pouring in. Some fans defended her honesty, others dragged her for filth. And poor Papoose? He didn't even have time to blink before the memes started flying. One viral TikTok showed a montage of his most romantic moments, rapping about her during BET cyphers, celebrating her birthday with huge cakes, holding her down for 6 years while she served time, set to sad piano music. The caption? Held it down for years, just to be told he came up short. Brutal. But let's rewind for a second, because the cracks were always there. Remember last year's red carpet event where Remy dodged a kiss from Papoose? She brushed it off, said she didn't want to smudge her lipstick. But fans clocked the body language. The tension. The way she flinched slightly when he reached for her hand. Back then, we ignored it. We said, they're just having an off night. Turns out, that night might have been a sign of a much deeper disconnect. Multiple insiders have now come forward claiming Remy had been emotionally checked out for at least 2 years. One former assistant even said she'd come back from events with Easy and be in a whole different mood. Light. Laughing. Like someone who'd finally exhaled. Yes, Easy the block captain is involved in this mess too. Again. Because just like clockwork, his name started surfacing the moment that interview leaked. Fans started connecting dots like they were building a conspiracy board. Old photos, tour stops, that viral battle footage where Easy shouted out queens who still crave kings. At the time, people thought it was clever wordplay. Now, it reads like coded messages to a woman already gone from her marriage. And the hosts of that leaked interview? They've gone dark. No tweets, no posts. Just a cryptic message on their page that reads, "Y'all weren't supposed to hear that. Not yet. Not yet." Does that mean there's more footage? More confessions? More savage truth bombs? Sources close to production say absolutely yes. Apparently, the full interview includes even more personal revelations, from unhealed trauma to secret therapy sessions to one moment where Remy reportedly breaks down in tears, saying she tried to stay faithful to a man who never made her feel like a woman. We don't know if that segment will ever be released. But if it does, it'll be the final nail in the coffin. Meanwhile, Papoose hasn't said a word. His Instagram remains frozen. His team has refused all interview requests. But according to an insider, he was blindsided and humiliated by the leak. The source added, "He found out the same way we all did. He woke up, checked his phone, and the whole world was laughing at his pain." And to be honest, that's the part that hurts the most. Because even if the relationship had run its course, even if Remy was unhappy, why say that? Why go on record and reduce a man's entire legacy to measurements? Some are calling it liberating. Others are calling it cruel. Either way, the internet can't stop watching. A popular YouTube channel even hosted a live stream titled Remy Ma's Savage Confession: Real Talk or Public Castration? The comments? Unhinged. One user wrote, "She could have just said they grew apart, but she had to emasculate him too." Another fired back, "Y'all protect men's egos more than women's truth. Let her speak." And in the middle of all this, Easy the Block captain posted a single tweet. "Only weak men fear strong women telling their truth." No names, no tags, but we knew exactly what and who he was talking about. As if that was enough, leaked DMs now suggest Remy may have consulted a publicist before the interview, asking how to control the narrative and reset the brand. That's right, some believe this entire scandal was intentional. A rollout. A calculated PR detonation to wipe away the wife label and reintroduce Remy as a free, unfiltered, and unapologetic force. And honestly, if that's the case, it worked. Because like it or not, she's all anyone's talking about. But before you start writing think pieces or picking sides, remember, we're only at the beginning of this disaster. Because just when we thought the worst had been said, a second part of the interview leaked. And in that clip, Remy didn't just drag Papoose's performance. She questioned his entire purpose in her life. The second clip hit harder than the first. If fans thought Remy's earlier comments were cold, this one was glacial. In this newly leaked section of the same interview, she doesn't just talk about physical dissatisfaction. She dives deep into the emotional fallout. And it's not just a jab at Papoose anymore. It's an emotional autopsy of their entire marriage, delivered with the calmness of someone reading back old diary entries. "He was my protector, my provider, but never my partner," she says in the clip. "I mistook loyalty for love. And the truth is, I felt more alone next to him than I did in a prison cell." Silence. Again, that silence has become its own character in this unfolding drama. Because it's not just what Remy is saying, it's how she's saying it. No rage, no remorse, just raw, clinical honesty. And for Papoose, who built an entire public persona around his devotion to her, these confessions are more than just hurtful, they're identity-shattering. The second clip picks up right where the first left off. The interviewer, stunned but professional, asks her what she means by alone. And Remy doesn't hold back. "I would go to shows, do interviews, win awards, and come home to a man who didn't know how to hold me. Not physically, not emotionally. It felt like I was carrying our entire relationship in a suitcase while he held the door open and said, 'Good job.'" She adds that there were moments when she begged for intimacy, not just in bed, but in conversation and connection. But all she got, she claims, was surface-level support. He loved me out loud, but it was like performative. Pap loved the idea of us more than he loved the woman I actually was. And with that line, fans began to spiral. Because what happens when the ride or die narrative we all worship turns out to be built on a one-sided ride? Twitter lit up with quotes, reactions, and heartbreak. One trending post read, "Remy Ma didn't just close the door on her marriage, she blew up the whole house and rebuilt on a new foundation." And in the rubble, Papoose, silent again. His absence is now louder than any public statement could ever be. But that didn't stop the internet from trying to speak on his behalf. Fan pages began sharing archived footage of their wedding, interviews where he called her his queen, and old tweets from when she was locked up. The love was real, at least from his side. But now, that love has been turned into content, into tragedy, into meme material. One meme that went viral overnight shows Papoose in his iconic fitted cap, looking at the sky with a caption, "Did 6 years waiting for her just to find out I never touched her soul." Full? Absolutely. But this is the internet. And when the drama hits this hard, the memes write themselves. Meanwhile, rumors started flying. An anonymous source close to the couple claimed this wasn't the first time Remy threatened to go public. Allegedly, they'd had explosive arguments behind closed doors where she warned him to stop living off my loyalty. According to the source, she felt trapped in the image of a perfect wife, even when she was emotionally drained and spiritually disconnected. She stayed for the optics, the source said, but she's been gone for years. As fans continued dissecting the interview, one bombshell emerged. Remy allegedly wrote a memoir while Papoose was planning their vow renewal. And in that manuscript, according to insiders, there are pages describing her emotional affair with another man. Now, the internet's convinced that man is easy. Although neither of them have confirmed a relationship, the patterns are impossible to ignore. Easy's been posting cryptic captions for weeks, including one that read, "Sometimes, the real love story starts after the fairy tale ends." And here's where things get even messier. A third party, someone claiming to be an intern on the interview production team, posted a thread on X, formerly Twitter, with alleged behind-the-scenes moments. In one post, they claim Remy had second thoughts about doing the interview at all, that she was shaking before the cameras rolled, pacing back and forth, and muttering, "They're not ready for the truth." But once those lights came on, she transformed. Cold, composed, clear. And that's the version of Remy Ma we now have burned into the public record. Not the warrior poet, not the resilient wife, but the woman who walked away, not just from her husband, but from her reputation. Industry reactions are pouring in. Fat Joe, usually her staunchest supporter, posted a video saying, "Love is love, but respect is everything. Some things don't need to be said." Even Cardi B, who has always been vocal about her own messy love life, liked a tweet that said, "Loyalty doesn't mean suffering. Stop judging her like she owed y'all silence." So what's next? Well, according to leaked production emails, the docuseries this interview was part of is still slated to release next quarter, complete with episode titles like Unspoken Rooms and Queen Without a Throne. Sources say Papoose refused to be a part of it once he learned the tone. Initially, he believed it was a family documentary, something that would highlight their legacy. But once he saw the footage, he backed out entirely. He hasn't signed off on any joint footage, which means producers might blur his face in old clips or cut them entirely. And now, the sponsors are circling. Streaming services, podcast networks, magazine covers, they all want a piece of Remy's broken crown. Because like it or not, she's become the story. Not just a rapper, not just a wife, but the woman who said what no wife ever dares to say out loud. That she was never really satisfied. That she settled. That she stayed longer than she should have. And fans are left torn between outrage and admiration. One thing's for sure, we've never seen Remy Ma like this before. But just when we thought it was over, just when the second clip seemed to have said it all, another message leaked. This time it wasn't a clip, it was a voicemail. A shaky recording from what sounds like a heated argument between Remy and someone with a familiar voice. And in it, we hear her say, "If I wanted to embarrass you, I would have said more. You think I told them everything?" That voicemail was the match that lit an already flaming circus on fire. It starts muffled. The wind in the background sounds like a parking lot. The person recording is breathing heavy, like they know they're capturing something dangerous. And then, Remy Ma's voice, sharp as ever. "You think I told them everything? Pap, please. I left 80% of it out." And just like that, the illusion of control, gone. That voicemail made one thing painfully clear. The leaked interview wasn't the full story. It was just the surface. Just the preview of something deeper, more humiliating, and possibly irreversible. What exactly didn't she say? Fans were already spiraling over what she did reveal. And now this? In the voicemail, which quickly went viral on X, Remy doesn't yell. She doesn't cry. Her tone is cold, confident, calculated. She goes on to say, "I spared you because I respected what we had. Don't push me to take that back." Social media went into full Armageddon. One user wrote, "If what we heard was her being nice, imagine what's in the vault." Another, "Remy playing chess while Papoose just realized he's not even on the board." And as always, the streets went digging. Old texts, live stream clips, a resurfaced interview from 2020 where Papoose accidentally slipped and said, "Sometimes I feel like I love harder than she does." At the time, fans dismissed it. Now, it's being replayed with new context. Because what if Pap knew all along? What if this entire time, he was holding on while she was already mentally moved out? More disturbing, though, is the theory now circulating that Remy was recording conversations and private moments for months. That she was documenting every breakdown in silence, preparing for a public pivot the way brands prep for a rebrand. A new phase, a new image. Not as Mrs. Mackey, but as Remy the Untamed. Insiders now claim there are even diary voice notes that might leak. Personal reflections allegedly recorded on her phone, where she speaks candidly about being trapped in the image of the perfect woman for a man who never saw her beyond a crown. If true, these notes would shift the public perception again, casting her not as a villain, but as a woman finally reclaiming her narrative. But not everyone's convinced. In fact, Papoose's inner circle has started pushing back, quietly but firmly. An alleged cousin went live saying, "Pap held her down when no one would. She broke that man in 1,000 ways and called it healing." Even Remy's longtime friend, a former stylist, hinted that some truths only come out when people want to sell something. So now the question is bigger than just betrayal or bedroom tea. It's about trust. It's about what happens when personal pain becomes public content, when loyalty becomes leverage, when love gets converted into clips and confessionals. Meanwhile, Papoose was finally spotted, alone, at a quiet cafe in Harlem, hoodie on, headphones in. A fan tried to greet him. He nodded, said nothing, and kept walking. The footage made it to TikTok with a caption, "You can see the heartbreak in how he breathes." No statement. No press. Just silence. Until today. A new post. The first since the storm. A simple black square with a caption. "Sometimes silence is dignity." Fans erupted. Support poured in. Celebrities liked it. Comment sections turned into digital hug circles. Because at this point, people weren't just angry at Remy, they were grieving with Papoose. Grieving the image of love that felt so rare, so sacred, so untouchable. But Remy? She doubled down. Less than 2 hours later, she posted a mirror selfie with the caption, "Unapologetic, unattached, unbothered." No ring, no mention of Pap, just a woman in full control of the fallout she created. And Easy? He popped up again. A short clip from a freestyle session leaked, grainy footage from a studio where he spits. "I ain't break up no home. It was already vacant / I just walked through the ruins, kissed her pain, then I claimed it." Internet? Shook. One commenter wrote, "At this point, drop the album. you already ended a marriage. Others started wondering, was all of this coordinated? A love triangle rollout? A docuseries soft launch? A marketing plan disguised as heartbreak? Because, let's not forget, Remy recently trademarked Untamed Queen. Sources say she's working on a podcast, a book, and yes, even a stage play based on her journey through silence, sacrifice, and self-discovery. The first preview event? Scheduled for next month. But if you thought this was the final twist, hold on. Because new documents were just filed in New York civil court, sealed, but labeled under emotional defamation and reputational damage. And guess who's listed as plaintiff?
Papoose.
If verified, this could be the start of a legal war unlike anything hip-hop's ever seen. It's no longer about who said what on camera. It's about the cost of public pain, the cost of being dragged when you stayed silent, the cost of loving loudly and being left like a meme. Some fans are begging for a reconciliation. Others say this relationship was long dead. It just needed a stage to die on. Either way, the Remy Papoose love story, once immortalized in bars and vows, is now lying in ruins, broadcasted for millions.
And easy?
Somehow, the man in the middle walked away with the cleanest slate. Or did he? Because rumor has it, an old flame of Eazy's is now preparing to speak out. Claims of overlap, conflicting timelines, and one cryptic tweet from a verified account that simply reads, "She wasn't the only queen he was entertaining." Looks like the next chapter's already writing itself. In the end, this isn't just about one interview. This is about truth as currency. About what happens when someone decides to light their entire history on fire and walk through the ashes like a runway.
And Remy?
She's not just walking. She's strutting. But as the smoke clears and the headlines fade, we're all left wondering, was it worth it? Or did she win the war and lose the one man who really believed in her? So now that the mic has been dropped, the truth bombs detonated, and the internet left in stunned silence. What happens next? Is Remy Ma, a liberated queen, finally speaking her truth after years of silent suffering? Or is she the villain in her own love story, rewriting history at the expense of the man who held her down? Was Papoose a loyal king who deserved better, or just a placeholder in a story that was never really about him? And let's not forget Eazy the block captain. Was he the spark Remy needed, or just the convenient escape from a marriage already crumbling? The lines are blurred, the wounds are open, and the world is watching every move like it's the final episode of the messiest reality show we never asked for, but can't stop binging. But we want to hear from you.
Whose side are you on?
Are you Team Remy, the unapologetic truth teller? Team Papoose, the silent soldier, shattered in real time? Or Team, everyone's toxic, bring back real love? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The spicier the take, the better. And don't forget, this story's not over. With more leaks, more reactions, and even more confessions lurking in the shadows, the next episode could hit at any moment. So make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because here at Gossip Spill Vibe, we don't just break the news. We break the internet, one scandal at a time. And if you thought this was wild, just wait until you see what leaks next. Stay nosy, stay bold, stay with Gossip Spill Vibe, where the tea is always boiling and the truth is never safe.